Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So, I'm recording this the same right after my last video, because that one ended up being pretty short, so I figured I'll record something else too. So, today's video is something very weird that I got from another YouTuber by the name of TJ Omega. A few years ago, he did a video browsing the TF Wiki, the Transformers Wiki. And you know what? I thought that'd be a fun video because no one's experience with this is going to be the exact same. So, I haven't covered Transformers in a while. I feel like covering it again too. But the TF Wiki, as you can see here, I think this is probably the most impressive fan wiki of all time. Not just because of the amount of information that is on here, but because this isn't part of that website fandom, which is a million ads all over and is a bit slow. No, this is an entire website all built by Transformers fans with so much information, and it's just incredible. So you can see here, this day in history, September 14th. Writer Michael Reeves is born. Who's Michael Reeves? He wrote for the original Transformers, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Dungeons and Dragons. Which version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Let's see. I'm assuming the 1987 version. I do not know. It doesn't say. He wrote for Batman the Animated Series, Real Ghostbusters, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Wow. Favorite pastime: putting Cthulhu in cartoons geared towards 7-year-olds. He wrote for Beast Machines. Ugh, don't like Beast Machines. Still, huh. As you can see, that's just what they have. This year, not as much interesting stuff happened. The Cybertron episode, Fury, premiered in the US. The Robots in Disguise 2001 episode, The Hunt for the Black Pyramid, premieres in the US. The animated episode, Along Came a Spider, premiered in France. Wait, episodes? As if there's two? That's weird. Also, I've noticed this from looking at the TF Wiki for so many years. If a Transformers Prime episode airs in one episode that day, or airs in one country that day, it aired in another country. A different episode aired in another country that day. Weird coincidence. But the real fun of this is just clicking on whatever random article. Okay, we got Galvatron 2 from the Marvel comic, I believe. I've read the American Marvel comic. I haven't read the UK one. So this one is Galvatron 2 is Megatron from the future? And, yeah, this was just really convoluted. Oh, look, he activates the Cone of Silence. But none of my viewers know what the Cone of Silence is. And I just watched the first season to get smart. And there's this panel. I remember seeing this, but I think I read this story. Where Megatron and Galvatron are screaming at each other. And they have really humanoid faces, which is kind of weird. What the heck is that image? This is just the Regeneration 1. I have not read Regeneration 1, and I have no interest to. If you're wondering what Regeneration 1 is, it's a continuation of the Marvel Transformers comic they did over a decade later. From what I've heard, it was really bad. And even though the Marvel comic didn't end the way it was supposed to, it still had a real ending, even if it was a bit rushed. I'd sure take it over a story that ends with all the Cybertronians dying, because apparently that's how Regeneration 1 ends. Also, I'm just not really a fan of this artwork. It's like, what is this? It's so hyper, I don't know. Ah, here, Unicron, as in, like, there was a comic book series called Unicron. Also, I just love these captions that are on nearly every single image on the TF Wiki. Thought these were fun. So yeah, the Unicron comic from IDW Transformers. Yeah, I haven't read that much of IDW Transformers, honestly. I just don't care for it at all. I appreciate that it gives a lot of more screen time to certain characters that are pretty obscure. It's just, I don't like IDW Transformers. Or IDW Sonic. Huh. Landquake. I do not know who this is. Some random guy from Timelines Comics? Auto Boot Camp, one of the best episodes of Transformers Animated. The class of 2008, the entire class of 2008. Also, the episode aired in the UK before the US. That's really weird. Remember this episode? This is the episode with the iconic meme, "Hit me with everything you got, sir." I know this is probably a really weird video for you guys, but I don't know, I just think it's fun. Optimus must be kicking himself for having this. Sometimes when you stare into the abyss, it stares right back. First time off the Energon farm? How'd you know? This is just an article about a random episode of Transformers, but I want to get some really weird article. Beachcomber, we all know. Okay, no one cares about Beachcomber. O-Part. What the heck is this? Oh, or even better, Dispensor, the legendary Mountain Dew vending machine Decepticon from the 2007 movie. This is such a dumb character. Good old Michael Bay product placement. I do like the 2007 movie, by the way. It's just, come on. A vending machine transformer. It is a cool concept, though. You know what? This toy looks kind of cool. I like it. Looks fun. It's unique, at least. That's weird. Okay, what the heck is this? But now I'm going to search up an article I actually know about. Because there's an entire article on the TF Wiki just called Death. I have read through this article. It took me over an hour to read it. That's how long this is. Let's just read part of it now. Transformers is a children's franchise, and most works of Transformers fiction are stories of war. This means that the death of major and minor characters often figures into the fiction. Given the ambiguous nature of Transformer physiology, there is very little consistency regarding what is fatal to a Transformer, even within a single storyline. Some damage that one Transformer might shrug off can prove fatal to another, or even to the same character in a different story. Sometimes just a laser blast or two will do the trick. Other times, characters survive being melted, crushed, and even utterly disintegrated. Looking at you, Waspinator. It does not take a terribly cynical viewer to conclude the threshold of survival is generally determined by the needs of the plot. The out-of-universe reasons for a character's death can vary from plot development to the arrival of new toys, which also has an article that is just hilarious, by the way. Conveniently enough for writers who are beholden to the whims of a toy company, the majority of Transformers characters are machines, which means that the death isn't necessarily permanent. Across the various universes, characters that appear to have been killed have been known to pop up alive again at a later date or go through some sort of resurrection. And this image, and lo, the children did weep. Yeah. Hasbro and death. Because who doesn't remember the iconic story of the cosmically powered Starscream from the Marvel Transformers comic, where Starscream gets superpowers and just murders half the cast? Hound, Bluestreak, Mirage, Hoist, Brawn, Gears. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 characters in one panel. Something like 50 characters die in this one issue. Or this iconic image from the 1986 movie where Wheeljack and Windcharger, I think his name is, lie dead on the floor. How about Optimus Prime's death and sudden revival in Transformers Animated? I absolutely love Transformers Animated. It's in my top 3 favorite shows of all time, but yeah, Optimus' death scene and sudden revival is really stupid. If it were something that was explained as only being able to have been done once, I could get it, but it's only even mentioned one other time, and it's in a joke line. The writers probably understood this was a really dumb scene. Or, here are the common causes of death. Weapon fire, characters being shot at. Characters being blown up in explosions. Jared learns the hard way not to overdo the propane in his 4th of July cookout. Head trauma. Here's some very violent story from IDW of Rodimus decapitating another bot. Bots being blown to pieces. Their sparks being destroyed. Them being disintegrated. What is this one from? Gotta look at this. Is this from It's from a comic, of course it is. How about them being tossed into a pit of melting like in the Marvel comic? Or being shot at with laser beams? Or cosmic rust? Ah! Yeah, who doesn't remember cosmic rust? Or old age. Yeah, I guess they do have old age, huh? And there's them after death. They usually join the Well of All Sparks. There is a concept of afterlife in Transformers, depending on which continuity has different ones. But how do they come back if they die though? Oh, they could just get rebuilt sometimes. How about when they have their minds swapped? Regeneration 1 becomes weirder to read when you realize that Prime spends the entire series with a shriveled little high Q mummy in his chest. Oh yeah, in the original Marvel comic, there's this story where some human puts his consciousness inside Optimus Prime's body, which is really weird. And then there's this supernatural abilities, or who could forget zombies? Like in Transformers Prime, and Cliffjumper gets turned into a zombie, and then gets cut in half. Yay. Ghosts. Who doesn't remember Starscream's ghost? I guess he got hunted by the Ghostbusters in a crossover once. Which, Starscream's ghost does not make any sense at all. Some of them are just immortal. Because, yeah, this is every day of Waspinator's life. Let's look at them. The most notable, however, would be the Beast Wars cartoon's assertion that Starscream possessed a unique mutant spark that persisted even after the complete destruction of his physical body. Within the lore of the Beast Wars universe, this mutation went on to form the basis for the murderous Rampage, a rogue maximal experiment who'd seemingly inherited his genetic template's immortality. However, Death Charge was able to kill him, seemingly for good, by impaling him through the spark with raw energon, suggestion that the experiment was not perfect. Yeah. And then just the fact that, yeah, characters like Waspinator, meanwhile, are immortal solely for comedy's sake. He's blown up, torn to shreds, decapitated, crushed, and sustains damage that would kill any other character, only to pop up completely fine in the next scene, ready for another comedic beatdown. In one of the last episodes of Beast Wars, Rat Trap literally says, "Hey, I'm not done picking up all the pieces of my Waspinator collection." Because I guess he keeps pieces of Waspinator's never beaten up, broken body that just somehow always regenerates. So weird. Characters who die a lot. Yeah. Optimus Prime dies so much, it's basically comical. You can set your calendar by this kind of thing. I mean, there's a video called "Here's 10 Times G1 Optimus Prime Died." And the video specified that the guy in the video said, I was gonna do 10 times Optimus Prime died altogether. But then I realized, if you just look at G1 Optimus Prime, you could already come up with 10 times he died. 1986 movie. He died twice in the Marvel comic in the US. He died in the Headmasters cartoon. In the Japanese version of G1 Season 3, since they didn't get the 1986 movie for a few more years. How about Megatron just getting killed off all the time? Yeah, Megatron dies. Starscream. Oh goodness, Starscream dies so often. Sentinel Prime, in the night in Dark of the Moon when Optimus blasts Sentinel Prime in the head. Or how about when Megatron tears him in half in Transformers 1? Psykill? I don't know who that is. Solus Prime, and yeah. This article is just really funny. But time to get into an article that's perhaps even funnier. To sell toys is one of the funniest things I have ever read, just period. This thing is hysterical. Hasbro wasn't quite sure whether to advertise this expensive toy until the fans forced their hand. Hasbro and Takara Tomy are toy companies, and they are primarily interested in continuing to sell toys to children and adults. The cartoons, comic books, etc. mostly exist to make this happen. To be sure, they normally make a profit in their own right. Well, no wonder this movie made $1 billion. But this is regarded as mere gravy. The to sell toys effect often distorts the fiction in interesting ways, primarily since you can't usually sell someone. How have I not read this? You don't. I mean, just look at Starscream. Starscream has there was something like 10 other characters with the exact same design as Starscream. Anyway, yeah. So you can't usually sell someone the same toy twice. Hasbro and Takara constantly introduce new toys, and often require the creators of the fiction to introduce new characters into ongoing storylines. Older characters whose toys are no longer being sold are shoved aside to make room. Another effect of to sell toys is when the toys have gimmicks which must be explained in the fiction, yada yada yada. This, truly, I'm speechless from being here. Your species characterizes the infinite wonder of the churning, whirling, chaotic cosmos through the lens of merchandising? I can see how I swindle loves you idiots. Sideways on the concept, Ask Vector Prime. I'm not entirely sure what Ask Vector Prime was. I think it was this online thing where the character Vector Prime asks questions that Transformers fans submit to him. Okay, but to sell toys. Huge casts. Like in the G1 cartoon where new characters just appear out of nowhere in the background with no explanation. Or how about when random casting? Yeah, it's basically what I just talked about. Or there are limited casting. Sometimes Hasbro doesn't want to pay to pick characters that aren't selling toys. This can force a story, particularly an animated cartoon, to have a smaller cast than it otherwise might. I mean, the early episodes of Armada, as it says, don't have that many characters in it. Or Transformers Animated doesn't have that many characters, which really was a good thing. Same thing for Beast Wars. In Beast Wars, it cost so much to make one character model, there was only a certain amount of characters they could use. And if a character didn't sell, well then he died. But the Beast Wars writers are really good, so they managed to make characters get killed off without it feeling cheap. The full might of the Decepticon army. Yeah, because for most of Armada, the Decepticon army is 4 guys. Megatron, Starscream, Demolishor, and Cyclonus. That is just pathetic. And of course there's the plot, They have to come up with some reason to get rid of characters. I mean, the first, or I guess sell them, The first issue of the Marvel comic has 2 huge splash pages in which 28 characters do nothing but stand around and tell each other who they are and what they can do. What else? I'm looking for something specifically funny. Reflector is actually here. He's just buried underneath a pile of speech bubbles. Is he? Look, I love comics that have a lot of words, but this is absurd. Where Reflector is here? Well, no. How could you ever see him? Wait, that's a joke, isn't it? Of course he's not there. Gimmicks. Who doesn't love gimmicks? Like Megatron having 8 different alternate modes in the original Robots in Disguise cartoon or something. Jetstorm and Jetfire are the only Autobot jets in the animated line, not counting the Toilets of Mega Supreme. To fully big this up, their origin story has it that there have never been any flying Autobots before, despite them having been in and won a long and bitter war with enemies who often fly. This one was silly enough that a later episode explicitly joked on this, pointing out there were multiple Autobots before and after Jetfire and Jetstorm with some kind of flight capability. The Unicron trilogy, Armada, Energon, Cybertron, that is just known for having a million gimmicks. Cyber keys, power linksing, mini cons. Strange developments. The Marvel UK comic had to promote special teams toys before they knew they'd be appearing in the US reprints. To get around this, Simon. Where Buster with Wiki, Optimus, and Shockwave watched the advert, saw a matrix of leadership-induced division of the special teams in action. Season 3 of the original cartoon, just murders most of the cast was killed off in season 1 or the 1986 movie, so in season 3 they just don't appear. There's also just the fact that a couple of characters didn't die, they just stop appearing. What else is there? This is just really fun. How about the character of Tiger Hawk from Beast Wars? Um, so Hasbro did not know whether they were going to release the Tiger Hawk toy or not. So he doesn't end up appearing until episode 11 out of the 13 episodes in season 3. And then he gets killed off in episode 13. So he's only in the show for 3 episodes despite being portrayed as a big deal. Or how about this part of Transformers Animated? In this episode, Prattle learns not to use upgrades and he gives up using powerful samurai armor. But whoops, Hasbro thought, hey, we can make a toy out of that armor. And so, in a later episode, Prowl regains it, and the show hurriedly claims that the upgrade is fine now, because Prowl realizes now that it's the Autobot, not the upgrade. Although, I gotta say, to be fair, the show did a legitimately good job of explaining why Prowl should get to wear the armor now, I must say. But, not everything is as well written as Transformers Animated. What else? I don't know. Oh yeah, how about the weird Beast Hunters toy line of Transformers Prime, where Optimus Prime randomly redubs Team Prime as the Beast Hunters when they begin looking for Predacon fossils? The Autobots must have felt the same way as we did about the sudden name change. Really, only the protocol-obsessed Ultra Magnus begins using the term. Thanks to behind-the-scenes troubles and the whole concept being a late addition to the series, the team never actually hunts any beasts, and only 3 Predacons ever take a central role in the story. Yeah, and 2 of them only show up for the movie at the end of the show where they barely have any screen time. There's only really 1 Predacon, let's be honest. What is this? Oh yeah, the big toy of Titan-class Devastator in IDW. So yeah, in IDW, Devastator looked like this in the digital release of the comic, but to sell new toys, they had to change it for the print version. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry if this is beginning to bore you guys, but I just think this is really funny. Like, awkward continuity. This is so weird. Power levels. Ah, yes. Where Buzzsaw, one of Soundwave's cassettes, is able to destroy Omega Supreme. That is hilarious. I mean, there's a part in Robots in the Skies 2015 where Laserbeak shoots Optimus Prime, so, you know. Tidal Wave. When he's introduced in Transformers Armada, he is enormous. But by the time of this next cartoon, he's just a tall guy who isn't even that much taller than the other characters, who goes from being incredibly powerful to doing basically nothing. How about when the characters get new bodies to sell toys? Bumblebee gets upgraded into Goldbug, for example. What else? Ah, yes. In Japan, the animated episodes about the Constructicons were never broadcast on television. I didn't know that. Instead, being reduced to bonus content on the DVDs, as the Constructicons did not have toys. The episode order was also rearranged, and thus the internal narrative of the series as well, so that episodes introducing new toys could air earlier than those that didn't. How about Depth Charge's appearance in Beast Wars? Yeah. Abrupt conclusions. Who doesn't love these? I mean, the American, just as Transformers fiction lives at Hasbro's pleasure, so too does it die. Falling sales, a change of plans, and standard rebranding can all cause a storyline to come to a sudden end when Hasbro decides to pull the plug. The American Generation 1 cartoon got a somewhat rushed conclusion rather than a full 4th season, just got a 3-part episode, but it still had a conclusion. The Generation 1 comics were nearly ended at issue 75, where Optimus Prime sacrifices himself to kill Unicron. But they were given 5 more issues, which had a really rushed conclusion, but a conclusion nonetheless. Hasbro was only willing to support the Generation 2 comic for 12 issues unless it proved to be an unqualified, perhaps phenomenal success. Aware of this from the start, writer Simon Furman was able to plot a story arc to reach its finale as the series ended, and poked fun at it with a character whose name is a pun on "Gee, axe us." I mean, just look at this cover. Oh my god, what a messed up issue. It's the end of the road for Transformers Generation 2. That can't bode well for the toy line. The writers of the Beast Wars cartoon reportedly never had any ideas if they'd be back for another season. Like for season 1 of Beast Wars ends on a cliffhanger, but the writers didn't know if they'd get a season 2. Season 2 ends on a cliffhanger, but they didn't know if they'd get a season 3. They were told they would not get a season 4 though, so season 3 did actually wrap up the show in a nice bow. What else? Even though Transformers Cybertron wasn't abruptly cancelled, Kids WB just ended the series on a cliffhanger, leaving millions of kids tuning in next time only to get a rerun of Zowlin Showdown. The reason? The Cybertron Defense Team toys hadn't hit stores yet. Oh, this is just ridiculous. How about when they just kill off old product we already talked about? Yeah, like when Brawn gets shot in the shoulder and that somehow kills him. How about, I mentioned before, of Starscream just killing all the characters in the Marvel comic? Or how about Scorponok and Terrorsaur falling into a lava pit? We're condemning you to a fiery death because Waspinator had a bigger fan club. Resurrection. So, through space-time continuum stuff, Inferno in Beast Wars gets disintegrated, but then it comes back later. Oh. Obviously, if a character does have a current toy, or soon will, he's usually not going to die, even if the plot or common sense indicates that he should. This is sometimes because Hasbro declares a character unkillable, and so the comics and TV writers must follow suit. In an episode of Beast Wars, Black Arachnia betrays Megatron, ruining his greatest shot at victory, and he declares, "There will be no more betrayals." So she, dies, but then this magical MacGuffin brings her back to life. Megatron himself is in a prime position to be terminated, as were the Maximals later on in the weak component in Beast Machines. Since this was only episode 6 and everyone had toys out, the cast politely agreed not to take this opportunity to end a brutal war for the planet. Yeah. Stuff in Transformers Prime. Notable exceptions. There are, however, a few notable exceptions to the Cell Toys effect, such as fictional characters without a toy counterpart and other anomalies. Like Swoop here. How about post-Marvel pre-2013 G1 comics? Hey, Run Amok, it's our first appearance on a comic book cover in 20 years. Haha, now if only we could appear on toy store shelves. Both Dreamwave and IDW Comics, the two recent holders of the license to publish Transformers comic books, sometimes produce comics using whichever toy line is current, and sometimes publish comics using whatever characters they please. The characters in their discretionary comics are often not currently available in toy form. Hardhead, a character appearing in numerous stories from IDW's G1 continuity during their early years, only had another toy on shelves at around 2009, a good 22 years after his last toy. Yeah, it's getting kind of boring. So now that we're basically done, let's get out one more article. Who the heck is Star Drive? GoBots! Yeah! Wait, his name is literally GoBots? What the heck? Yeah, this is weird. Anyway, let's just look at my favorite page. I've noticed talked about the captions before. Look at the captions. They're all. Guess which movie they're from. The motion picture you are about to see is an adaptation of the Exodus story. While artistic and historical license has been taken, we believe that this film is true to the essence, values, and integrity of a story that is a cornerstone of faith for millions of people worldwide. She's exhausted from the day's work. Oh, not that it was too much. We quite enjoyed it. We're trying to get the funny man out of the well. I seek to build an empire, and your only goal is to amuse yourselves by tearing it down. Have I taught you nothing? These are all from the Prince of Egypt, which, Honestly, that kind of does fit Transformers 1's tone and story. Take the staff in your hand, Moses. With it you shall do my wonders. You're playing with the big boys now. Not much of a snake charmer, are you? I don't really get that one. I will not be dictated to. I will not be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star. I am Pharaoh. Goodbye, brother. Yeah, that's just really funny to me. Okay, so, yeah, that was a fun video. Very weird, but I had fun making it. And at the end of the day, these videos are not made to get views or get likes or get money because these videos are not monetized. I just want to have fun with these. So, that's all for now, and remember to stay way past cool.